Raider Nation, I got a triple dose of Raiders rumors today to discuss. Tyreek Hill, is he going to be coming to the Las Vegas Raiders? You probably already know the answer to this one. Could the Raiders end up cutting Alex Cappa? And then Jim Schwartz, his name has been linked to the silver and black yet again. I know we already have a defensive coordinator. Imagine if Schwartz joined to help out Rob Leoanard at DC. To make sure that you're always staying up to date around the Raiders, hit that subscribe button. But also, if you're a fan that appreciates free daily Raiders videos, we cover news, we cover rumors, free agency, draft. We're pumping out a lot of content. And I want to be clear, just because I talk about a topic doesn't mean I'm predicting that topic to happen. And I bring that up because when I first started doing this show, we would look all around the internet for rumors. And during the offseason, we talk a lot more about rumors because not as much news ends up going down. So you're going to see some just win babies. I used to call these the Chucky heads back in the day. If you see a rumor is 0 just win babies, it means it's not going to happen. It's tuck rule, tuck that. If I believe something is 100% going to happen, I will say believe it, baby. It's 4 just wins. So based on the likelihood of it happening, that is going to determine how many just win babies I decide to give each rumor that you see on the program today. So the first one that we're going to start here on this show is going to be around Tyreek Hill. Because when I saw this news happen on Monday, I didn't make a video for a reason. Because Tyreek Hill coming to the Raiders will never happen. Tuck rule, tuck that. Now, we work here at a company called Chat Sports. If my bosses tell me to talk about something, I'm going to talk about it on this program because at the end of the day, I'm always trying to do my best job to make sure everybody is happy. But in terms of Tyreek Hill coming to the Raiders, it's a 0% chance of happening. Miami released Hill on Monday, February 16th. And yes, the Raiders have a need at wide receiver. But not only is the idea of the Raiders signing Tyreek Hill, who has a domestic violence background, for those that do not know what the Fred Belindikoff rule is, Mark Davis, the Raiders, they've made a rule that they're not going to bring in players with domestic violence background, especially a wide receiver, because it would be a backhand to Belindikoff and that entire family. If you need to learn more about that story, I've talked about it 100 times on this program. Please go check it out. The other reason, though, why it doesn't make any sense for the Raiders to go out and get Tyreek Hill, I don't even know if he's going to play this season, dude. Like, that knee injury that he sustained might be career-ending. I don't know if Tyreek Hill is ever going to look like the Tyreek Hill that you're thinking about. But when you see odds get put out, and I'm not shocked that the Tyreek Hill destination odds have the Raiders in the top 8 because, let's face the facts, the Raiders have a need at wide receiver. Tyreek Hill is an intriguing name, comes from the AFC West, comes from the Chiefs, and it doesn't shock me that the silver and black were connected. But I want to be very, very clear. And I think everybody out here that watches this show knows that there's no chance in hell the Raiders are going to bring in Tyreek Hill. And if you know that the Raiders are never going to do it, I want you to click that like button. And if this video gets over 2,000 likes, I promise you this right now. I will never talk about Tyreek Hill ever again on a Raiders Report show unless the Raiders do the unthinkable. But it's never going to happen. Let's go to the next storyline here on the Raiders Report, and it's going to be around Alex Cappa. If you didn't see the video that I dropped on Friday, or it would have been February 17th on Tuesday, it's all around Raiders cut candidates. Alex Cappa was featured in that show, but when you hear it from other spots, maybe it's more likely to end up going down. I'm going to tell you the likelihood of the silver and black moving on from Alex Cappa. Before I do that, though, huge shout out to today's sponsor, Chubbies. And I have worn Chubbies for a very, very long time. Hell, I can actually remember the first time I put on a pair of Chubbies. It was the summer of 2018. I actually went to the brick and mortar store here in Dallas, and I played Mario Kart with the Chubbies dudes for literally like 3+ hours. They gave me some shorts. I walked out of there, and I was like, dude, these are literally perfect for work, perfect for the pool, the ultimate just chilling type of shorts. And then also for any golfers out there, their stuff, whether it's polos, whether it's like, they have everything for die-hard golfers. And I love Chubby shorts. I know you guys don't ever see my legs, probably for the best, because of how stretchable they are, how flexible they are, how great the boys feel in them. And If you want one of the reasons why I love all Chubby's gear, it's because of how soft, dangerously flexible, and incredibly quick drying, especially the trunks are. Also, with over 2.6 million customers, Chubby's clearly knows how to keep your thighs happy and the vibrations going as well. So for a limited time, Chubby's is giving our listeners 20% off with code CHATSPORTS at chubbyshorts.com. That's 20% off your order with code CHATSPORTS. You can give your thighs the VIP treatment that they deserve with Chubby's. Support the Raiders Report. Tell them that we sent you. And if you've ever seen me rock any of the Chubby shirts, like if you're wondering which ones that they are, I have them right now here for you. I wear these shirts literally all the time here at work. They are the perfect work shirt. Honestly, dude, they're like the perfect shirt where if you're going to go to Las Vegas for a weekend, and I try to cut corners as much as I can trying to save money, where Chugs and I, we were just out in San Jose, took a backpack, throw one of those shirts in. They literally do not wrinkle. Unbelievable fabric. Shout out to Chubby's for sponsoring the Raiders Report, whether you need some things for your top or whether you need some stuff for your bottom. I'm telling you, Chubby's is knocking it out of the park. Are the Raiders going to be cutting Alex Cappa? This one for Just Win Babies. Believe it, baby. If the Raiders do not cut Alex Cappa, shame on you, John Spytek. Because the only reason why I can wrap my mind around possibly keeping Kappa is that Kappa and Spytek have ties from their Buccaneers days. But there was an article. It was released by The Athletic. It was titled, One Potential 2026 Salary Cap Cut for Every Single NFL Team. Kappa was listed for the silver and black. He's got 1 year left on his contract. And because he's got 1 year left on his deal, when the Raiders signed him, it was a 2-year, I believe it was $10 million. And the fact that the Raiders can save $5 million by cutting Kappa is all the reasons that I need to why the Raiders should do it. Here's why The Athletic, though, said the silver and black are going to move on from him. One of the many Raiders' mistakes of last offseason was rushing to pay Kappa $5 million. He was coming off a season in which he played like one of the worst starting guards in the league, didn't look much better last season, and couldn't help a Raiders line that struggled. He's scheduled to make $6 million next season, but the Raiders can save $5 million, eat $1 million, by cutting him and adding to their wealth of cap space. This should be one of the easiest decisions of the offseason, and I completely agree. If the Raiders still had the Carrolls, then I could sit here and go, well, maybe we decide to keep them because the Carrolls just did dumb things over and over and over again. But for a Raiders team that you need to not only cut Alex Cappa to give yourself more money, cutting Alex Cappa then makes it easier for you to bring back Jordan Meredith. It also helps you invest in DJ Glaze, Caleb Rogers, Charles Grant, making sure that those guys are paid attention to a little bit closer. But for Alex Cappa, I can't think of a single reason why anybody from this organization would want to keep him. So there's not too often that I ask questions on this show that I think if you were to ask 100 Raiders fans, cut or keep Kappa, I think 100 people would say cut him. And don't get me wrong, I know that we have a need at offensive line. I know our offensive line depth is weak, and it is. We have weak depth on the O-line as it stands right now. But you also shouldn't throw money away just because you have a lot of money. So can we all right now real quick, everybody go down to the comments section and type cut, because I want Tom Brady to see it. I want John Spytek to see it. I want any person, Klint Kubiak, any important decision maker for the Las Vegas Raiders to see that cutting Alex Cappa is the only answer that you can possibly go with. If you want to say, well, Mitch, can we I don't know. Just cut him. I don't need him to be a part of this organization because you're going to keep him as a backup. I don't need Alex Cappa, who is one of the worst offensive guards in the NFL, to be a backup. I would rather any of the younger players be a backup for the Las Vegas Raiders. Coming up next here on the show, Jim Schwartz. We're still talking about Jim Schwartz, and the reason why I'm talking about him is because there's some important people out there that are still discussing the possibility of the power of the Schwartz joining the silver and black. Before I get into that, though, if anybody needs some Raiders Report gear, you can go to chatsports.com/RRshop, where you're literally going to be able to see all of the Raiders gear that I talk about here on this program. Now, if you want to know the exact link for some of this other products, you can. Like, we got a Kubiak shirt, We have our Sin City drinking team shirt, which, again, we got St. Patty's Day right around the corner. It's going to be here before you even know it. I mean, literally a month from today. The month from today that I'm filming, St. Patty's Day, the 17th. But if you think that we're Kubiak, get yourself a Kubiak shirt. If you know that the Raiders are going to draft Mendoza, go get yourself a Mendoza shirt. We are pumping out all sorts of Raiders Report merch, and every single link that you saw, Mendoza, Kubiak, Sin City, Raiders Report hoodie, everything that you saw, I'm going to put a link for you guys down in the comments, down in the description of today's show. That way, if you want to support the program, you can find the links very easily. Click on one of the bad boys and get yourself started with some awesome, awesome Raiders Report merch. Because at the end of the day, I want somebody to look at you and be like, oh, you watch Raiders Report? You guys meet each other, dap each other up, continue to grow this awesome community that we have. Let's go to the final rumor on the program. Jim Schwartz to the Las Vegas Raiders. Well, you know what? I'm actually going to give this one two just win babies, and I think that there is a coin flip chance that Schwartz joins the silver and black, and I say that because where there's smoke, there's fire. I say it all the time, and the number one team that's still getting connected to Schwartz is the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I'm going to show you a quote here that I thought was very important. This is from Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk on Schwartz joining the Las Vegas Raiders. Based upon the people I have talked to since Rob Leoanard was promoted to defensive coordinator, I've heard different opinions about this. But there is still a belief that Schwartz could still end up with the Raiders. Now, Florio has mentioned this multiple times, and Florio does have sources. Florio's been pretty off, I will say, this offseason around all things Raiders. But the important thing that we got to look at is the Browns, they still hold the contract rights to Schwartz. But Cleveland did just name Mike Ruttenberg as their defensive coordinator. Florio believes Schwartz joins the Raiders, and he says, quote, if and when the Browns release his rights. So here's the next quote that I think is very important. Assistant head coach of the defense, senior defensive assistant, something they could still try to land him if and when the Browns release his rights. I just think that Schwartz is too damn smart to give up, to cry uncle, and walk away. If he wants to coach this year, there's a way to pull it off. And the simplest thing to do once the Browns name a defensive coordinator is to say, I'm back, baby, I'm back. So Florio obviously put that quote out before the Cleveland Browns ended up hiring a defensive coordinator. But I also agree with him that if Schwartz wants to coach, he's going to be able to find a way to get out of the situation in Cleveland and then go coach again. Because the last thing that Cleveland wants to do, when you're a guy like Schwartz and you have the amount of connections that he does around the NFL, Cleveland already had a lot of issues hiring a head coach, getting a DC, keeping people a part of that squad. If Jim Schwartz wants to, if he probably walks into that room and goes, you better hope that everybody you got in here works out. Because if you burn a bridge with me, I'm going to be able to tell a lot of coaches that you don't want to go to Cleveland. And with all the decisions that Cleveland has made, I do think that that's something that they would have to be a little bit concerned about. Because Jim Schwartz has a lot of connections around the National Football League, and I do think that Jim Schwartz coaches in the year 2026. I just think it's two just win babies that he's going to join the Las Vegas Raiders. So just so you guys do not miss, it's going to be a crazy, crazy show. And obviously, it's going to be my birthday. I want y'all to celebrate with me. But more importantly, I want you to celebrate for LA Crash Dog. He's going to be getting into Mount Raider more. On top of that, my dad's going to be in town. My dad's girlfriend, Amy, she's going to be here. I might even be able to convince my wife to show up on my birthday as well. But at the end of the day, man, I love doing this show. I love hanging out with all y'all. And I don't want you to miss our legendary Friday live show. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure those notifications are turned on because we're going to be partying Oakland style.